We all have things in life which we want to achieve: a successful business, being a celebrity, having a lot of fan following. It could be having freedom, it could be having an artistic voice, or it could be just living a lifestyle of an athlete or somebody who has a really fit body. So, in spite of having these ambitions, have you ever felt like there is a distance between who you are today and the person who can actually get these things? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video today, which is that how do you become the type of person who actually lives the lifestyle, which lifestyle attracts towards the goal which you want to achieve. Now, have you ever felt anxious while thinking of a really big goal which you want to achieve? And do you know what is the source of that anxiousness most of the time? That is the disconnect between the person you are and the person you need to become in order to achieve that goal. So if your goal is to become an athlete who can run 10 kilometers in a day, who can run a 10-kilometer marathon, and the person who you are today, you cannot see any connection between these two persons, then obviously that goal which you set for yourself will seem more and more difficult that every day passes. So you have to close that gap between the two people. That's why you must have noticed that the most fulfilled you felt was not when you finally achieved the thing. That obviously it gives you a little bit of fulfillment, but what gives you the most amount of fulfillment is that when every day you feel like you are doing your absolute best and living at your full potential. You're in this flow state of work where the things which you do are resonating with you. You are in the correct direction and you are just working your way towards the goals which you want to achieve. Because you cannot really control what comes tomorrow, but you can control the things which you do today in order to create the tomorrow which you want to live. So the real question is not how do I get what I want, but the real question is how do I become somebody that the results I want become natural. If you have all of it today, like the type of business you want to run, you have that today. So who do you think you are that time when you have it? How do you act to run that successfully, to have it functioning, to make something out of it, and to make it grow even further? Who you are today, you have to imagine yourself being that person and close that gap to create that future into a reality. I want to give you a few examples of how I understood finally that the goal which we want to achieve is not really what gives us fulfillment, but the person we become in order to achieve that goal is what feels fulfilling. So, one of my friends, he always talked about having a camera. Like, that camera was the final goal which he wanted to achieve, and after he got that, he will start making YouTube videos and create a career out of it. And that was always the highlight of how he functions. Like, once I get that camera, I'm just going to kill it. I'm just going to work so hard and make this possible. But what was surprising to me is that one day he actually got a camera. Like, because he used to talk about it so much, somebody who appreciated him gave him a camera that was a really nice one. And because he technically achieved his goal of getting the camera, but he was nowhere near that person who is disciplined enough to create and produce content with the help of that tool. It's just a tool at the end of the day, it's just a camera. But what makes a difference between him and somebody who is making content out of his phone is that they actually want to do it, and they are scheduling their life in a way where there is time to shoot the content, where there is time to think about it, where they have ideas which they want to talk about. And ultimately, when you execute those ideas, when you put those videos out, is when you get fulfillment, not the result or the object which you wanted to achieve. Now, I'll give you an example of me about how I am exactly utilizing this concept into my life. So, if you know about me, I run a design studio called Studio Spot, and my goal is to grow that studio. Now, in order to grow that studio and become and make it a successful design studio, it needs to have an inflow of clients and a regular traction system built around it so that it gets noticed and it gets the right amount, the right kind of audience, which is going to pay us basically and appreciates and likes the kind of work which we do. So how do I exactly achieve that goal? Is by becoming somebody who puts themselves out on the internet a little bit more every day, makes contacts, has to be disciplined around his business, have proper ideas and schedules which needs to be fulfilled every month in order to gain certain outputs. So I cannot control what my studio becomes in the future, but what I can control is what I am turning myself into, so that the things which happen around me every day finally lead to something which I am looking forward for. So finally, I want to give you a framework which you can apply to close this gap between who you are today and who you need to become in order to achieve the goals which you want to achieve. Is to visualize that person who gets the goal which you want. If your goal is to get $1 million, for example, you have to write it down in the way you imagine a person achieving it, and then the things which he does every day in order to move towards that goal or own that personality and even grow that personality. And then after writing that down, you have to write down everything which you do in your day and compare these two, and then you will notice some stark differences or places where you want to grow. So that is basically the places where you want to work towards, which will close the gap between who you are today and what you need to become in order to receive what you want. And my suggestion really is that you should test this out at a small scale and check for yourself how magically this works. Like, just think of something really small which you want to do or which you want to get, and try to act like the person who can get it, and it will immediately feel like it is possible to get it, because you are doing the correct things towards it and you're taking actions, and you're not just being in your head and just thinking about, oh, I wish I had that. You did not just wish for it, but you immediately start to work towards it and you get results immediately. So my suggestion is that try something small and see yourself that how beautifully this works. With that being said, I will be back next week, and I'm really enjoying making these videos because I like to listen to myself as well, and I want to improve upon this understanding of things which are really hard to grasp at the first go, but once you experience these things in real life, the understanding grows. And this channel is basically where I document my understandings of life lessons and personality development. So I want to keep sharing that, and thank you for watching. And if you ever feel like you want to ask me something about this particular topic or any other videos which I've made, so I'll really appreciate if you drop a comment down. Yeah. Thanks.